Hello, this is Justice Backstrom, and welcome back to God, Guns, and Gaming. But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. I can't tell you how many times I had read and heard those words, and if you were to ask me, I would have said I believed them. But secretly, I think I always knew that I was kind of putting God, putting His kingdom on the back burner, sort of not really trusting that what God wanted for me was what I wanted for me. And of course, what I wanted for me was actually what's best for me, right? But I almost thought that if I sort of sought what I wanted first and then kind of sought God's kingdom second, that I could almost pull the wool over God's eyes and get what I wanted, but with His blessing. And I would guess that most of us have done similar things, whether we admit it or not. But what I've found is that when I have looked after my own interests first, I have not only failed to achieve them, but I've found that honestly the reason I don't is often because I have sought them in my own power rather than simply putting God first, which often would have been what it would have taken to have achieved what I wanted. In other words, the things I wanted weren't the wrong things. I had the right desires, but my doubt of God's goodness, His goodwill towards me, caused me to seek them in ways that was counterproductive. If I could go back in time and do it over, of course I would. But the best time to change is always right now. God makes all things work together for the good of those who love Him. You're never too far to get back into God's will. There is always still some good God will make of your situation. You just have to trust that His ways are better and His plans are better than what you had planned for yourself. I think my concern was that seeking God first would cause me to uncover that what I wanted wasn't what He wanted. Perhaps that may happen occasionally, but seeking God shouldn't normally prevent you from having your own dreams unless those dreams are sinful or unless God specifically enlightens you some other path you should follow. The chances of that are probably usually fairly slim for most of us. And no matter what the case, again, God knows better and His plans are better than you could plan for yourself. My bottom line and my reason, I guess, for making this video is to encourage you not to do what I did, not to try and get your own way and try and shoehorn your own vision into God's plan, but to trust that God's plan is not your unhappiness and that the joys of following Him are exceedingly above any joys or happiness that you had planned for yourself. Now, of course, in context, He says all these things shall be added unto you. That's going back to previous questions, what shall we eat, what shall we drink, what will we wear for clothing, you know, covering the bare necessities, those of course are promised, but I think it would be appropriate to couple that with Psalm 37 verse 4, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Both are true. God will first and foremost see after your needs, but when you delight yourself in the Lord, first of all, yes, your desires may change. The good you thought you wanted, you may recognize not to be the good you actually need. In which case, again, your desires will change to desires God would be able to grant. But if your desires are already good, there is no reason, barring extenuating circumstances, that God would not be able to fulfill them. Yes, we are promised hardship in this life, and I don't want to set up the Christian life as some prosperity gospel or hunky-dory, everything is always fine. But again, God's plans are good for you, better than your own. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. And in the end, any hardship you may face, any persecution, any strife or whatever, God will make up for it in ways you can't even imagine and your mind cannot comprehend. It will all be made up in the end. But again, the main point of this is to dissuade any of you who may be considering it from the folly of leaning on your own understanding when it comes to navigating your life in your pursuit of what you think your goals ought to be. Anyways, that's all I have for this video, so I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.